rough approximation is the lead guy has sort of a Wolverine/Gambit thing going on, the rich prissy girl has preacher powers, and the sweet quiet girl is Animal Man. Anyway, they all receive sort of a Hogwarts letter that transports them to a fantasy world run by Shinto gods and demon lords called the Little Garden. An ambassador of the garden, named Black Rabbit, appears to tell them they've been chosen to compete in the gift games, which are exactly what they sound like. Competitions where they use and bet their powers against other people with powers, and they can join guilds and progress inward to the center of the garden if they win enough battles. But rather than adopting a Hunger Games-y fight-to-the-death tone, this show seems pretty upbeat and adventure-ho about the whole concept. There's more a feeling of fun than of danger. Which is fine by me, honestly. The whole if you die in the game, you die in real life thing is really worn out, especially recently in anime. And the world of Little Garden, even with the danger and potential stakes that are hinted at here, seems very happy-go-lucky. It's very inviting. It's a place you'd want to be whisked away to instead of forced to enlist, and I guess. But there's not to say there aren't issues with this show. There are a lot of issues here. Aside from the art design being really generic and the budget not being impressive enough for an action show, which this may not be an action show, but there's gonna be some fight sequences now and again just based on the premise, and I'm under the impression they'll not be blowing my hair back. Well, this show is kind of too much, for lack of a better word. I mean, what are the limitations of this universe? They can pull any person, monster, god, whatever out of any parallel universe and have them compete in any kind of contest for whatever anyone wants to bet for what purpose exactly? Like, fantasy does need rules, it does need limitations, and Problem Children just seems like it has way too many toys to play with and may not know what to do with them. The execution's pretty safe so far, the writing's passable, and our heroes unfortunately don't have anything to fight for yet. Heck, they haven't even really banded together as a team. I just have no idea what to expect, and while that sounds like a good thing, I need to be expecting something in order to hook myself into this. Needless to say, our heroes haven't been fleshed out much. I don't have any kind of character depth to grasp onto either. There was just so much to explain in that first episode, but the endless possibilities for weird superpowers and cool monsters still kind of forced me to give this a green card. I love fantasy, and this is basically the potential for endless fantasy. I have to see if they're going to excel or suck with this giant ball pit they've set up for themselves. So, we'll wait a little while on giving it a full verdict. But for now, yeah, I'm eager to see more what they're going to do with this. We've reached the end of the season, pretty much. Just one show left, and we got the whole thing without a single underaged ass. No. This is Vivid Red Operation, and apparently it hates me. From the creator of Strike Witches, boy isn't that a ringing endorsement, and yes, I'm aware some people really do think it's a ringing endorsement, I'm just not one of them, see that rant I had on K-On! Earlier, but anyway. This is basically Strike Witches with a different coat of paint. 14-year-old Akane Ishiki, and yes, I'm stating her age on purpose to make you think about it, lives in a peaceful world where the energy crisis has been completely solved by a giant miracle of science known as the manifestation engine that provides seemingly endless power to 90% of the Earth. It was invented in part by her grandfather, who now spends his days locked up in his room inventing something else. Gee, I wonder if it's little girls fighting stuff related. Okay, I gotta calm down, I'm sorry. The thing is, Vivid Red Operation is kind of like Strike Witches in some regards. It's not that skeevy in execution. That's a good thing. You get the feeling it should be, and that's a bad thing. You want to talk manipulation? No, this is it. There's nothing pedophilic in the text itself. Of course there isn't. I mean, it's mass appeal entertainment. This was obviously done on a pretty high budget. They're going to want a beefy return on that. But the subtext is the problem here. Did we need certain things so lovingly rendered, is the question at hand. No. No, we didn't. I can't try to immerse myself in this without thinking of all the lonely basement dwellers spanking off to it, sorry. I know there's someone out there spanking off to any and every piece of media in existence, but some are less subtle than others. Anyway, this weird techno-biological alien thingy called the Alone suddenly appears in the sky intent on destroying the manifestation engine, and they start blowing shit up while Grandpa is putting the finishing touches on his invention, which somehow rips his soul from his body and puts it in the nearby body of a stuffed ferret. Because because of course it does. Now he can, like, hang out in the underage girl's pockets, and it's totally okay. Anyway, surprise to no one, the invention he was working on was a techno-magical combat suit for his granddaughter to fight the aliens, and we have our plot. And little girl bottoms. So I'm going to be totally unfair to the great animation, pretty good pacing, and even writing, silly contrivances aside, and just give this one a red flag because I don't want to be skeeved out anymore, and I have to be honest, I don't want to see anymore after being skeeved out that much. Even though it might be perfectly fine, eye candy fluff, all of the skeeviness might be subtextual. Trust me, fans of this sort of thing, we're going to see more of it in the future. I'm not dropping it. The red flag doesn't matter because it's not the worst thing this season, but I just wanted to let my feelings be known on these kinds of shows. They're creepy. Even when they're good and kind of contextually innocent, they're just creepy. I'm sorry. Alright, while Snarky tabulates up the rankings of everything this week, I'm gonna answer a little mailbag material, since I never have the time to get through it all day to day, but I really appreciate viewers sending in questions and thoughts. So, this week's question is gonna be a little different from future ones, but it needs to be addressed. It comes from Bard of Blaze. Will you continue to make classic reviews, and if so, will you take requests? So here's the thing. It does take me a long time to complete the classic style reviews, which is why you only see one every other month or so. At this moment, the last one I did was actually in September because of how the cards fell in real life and how I needed, not even wanted, but needed to be spending my time. Real life's a bitch, you know. But in all honesty, I've kind of fallen out of love with the classic style reviews, and it's not a recent thing. I've been wanting to adopt a more professional look for a long time. If I never did another review in the old style, I wouldn't really be sad about it. I mostly want to focus on the new shows, both this and Hollywood Drive and Fruits Basket, which I still love but makes no money. However, I have promises to keep, and I understand this, so I will continue to put out a classic review once every other month or so. And I'll close off the other projects, such as In-Betweens, the Digimon stuff, the last couple Ghibli movies and that retrospective, as I get to them. Do I take requests for classic reviews? Well, I kind of always have. I review donations that I get, and I review things based on how many people request something. So I take your requests into account, just sort of on a large scale. Anyway, this mailbag segment won't be for asking about other projects of mine normally, although that is one of the most common questions I get. So, for future reference, the question, when is this thing you are involved in coming out, or resuming, or whatever? It always has one answer, and that is, eventually. If that just puckers your lip, I can't do anything about it. I'm sorry. I'm involved in a lot of projects. All I can do is just sort of chip away at the marble and apologize for my recent 3-month-ish hiatus. I didn't really enjoy being gone for that long either. But anyway, I'm happy to be back, and let's take a look at this leaderboard. It's hard to gauge by just one episode, but I really enjoyed and am willing to recommend these top 4, while 5 through 7 have some promise too, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Orishura and GJ Boo lacked the hook I wanted to see from them, but at least they engaged me, while Bakumatsu and Hakenden didn't really try. But at least they didn't piss me off, which is more than I can say for our bottom 4 of skeevy, boring, and boringly skeevy, respectively. Gotta give the axe to something even worse than those 3, though. The abrasive, unfunny comedy of Cuticle Detective Inaba. Sorry, dude, you're out of the running. That's the rundown this week, and since I'm starting late, we'll be back next week with episodes 2 through 4 of all these shows, and a much shorter script for each segment now that I've learned my damn lesson. If you have a mailbag question about a specific anime title, the state of the industry, or anything Japanimation related, send it to me at joreviews@gmail.com. Till then, sayonara, bye-bye, everyone.